I'm Allie with PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu, and I'm excited today to bring you a design by Kimrie called Pocket Full of Posies. This is a design that utilizes the 2-hole drop bead as well as our new mini RounDuo. So that RounDuo mini is going to be featured as the middle of our flowers, and we're going to use some different drop beads in order to design and have fun creating this Pocket Full of Posies design. So to begin the Pocket Full of Posies bracelet, we're going to be designing and using actually some different teardrops. In the original design, Kimrie used all of the Amos beads and had some multicolors, did some designs where she had the opening versus having a Monty in the middle. We'll be using actually some rounded drop duos and some Amos beads. So that way it gets that whole posy, that whole bouquet of flowers. To begin, you have 2 needles on 5 feet of beading thread. I'm using 0.006 green wildfire thread, and I have my cup button in my white Lila Vega color. To begin, I'm going to add 3 of my 11-0 seed beads in that galvanized silver color onto my needle, and as I add them onto my needle, I'm going to pick up my cup button. The cup button then goes through with my needles, going 1 through each hole of the cup button, going through the rounded side and coming out through the domed side. That's going to put those 3 seed beads right on the edge just to work as a little bit of a trim or a little picot there in the middle of the button. If you want, a good alternative is to keep that empty, having a little bit of thread exposed, and then glue in one of the Potomac's crystals in the 10mm Rivoli. From there, I'm going to begin by adding 3 11-0 seed beads on both my right needle, and then I'll add 3 11-0s with the left needle. This project is going to go up and back, coming down the design as we add in and kind of have our design going. So I have my 3 seed beads here, and what I'm going to do is get ready to add my first of my RounDuo beads. So right there in the cup button. So the RounDuo bead, I'm going to go 1 hole on the ones at the top and the bottom of each flower. We're going to go 1 needle going through from left to right, and the other from right to left. That's going to crisscross through that bead and push those seed beads down nicely and kind of sit right along the edge there. From here, we're going to crisscross again to get towards the center, again having the needles go 1 from right to left, and the other from left to right. Again, this will expose a little bit of thread on the side of the mini RounDuo, but by the time you get in your drops and your beads, you really won't see it. Pulling that down, then it gets it nice and tight and you have your nice ending. From here, when I pick up the RounDuos, I'm using that metallic mix. When I pick them up, I want the look of different flowers. So I'm going to try to pick up kind of all the same color of the mini RounDuos and work them into the one design. So I'll pick up 3 of kind of the more reddish color and 4 of the more green next one. So as I go here, I'm going to start with my rounded drop duo since it's a little bit smaller. I'm going to put a rounded drop duo, and this is with my right needle. Then I'm going to put another one of my RounDuos, then another one of the drop duos, and then another RounDuo. And again, these are the mini RounDuos. Sticking that needle down, we're going to pick up the left needle because we're going to repeat since usually everything is done in kind of a mirror fashion. I'm going to add my rounded drop duo. I'm going to add my next of my, pick up one of the redder ones here, next of my mini RounDuos, add a drop duo, just 1, and let those all drop down. So on both needles I have the drop duo, RounDuo, drop duo, and then on one needle I went ahead and preloaded the actual RounDuo for the opposite side. That's on the right side, so what I'm going to do with the left needle is go through that bead, through the same hole in the opposite direction, essentially crisscrossing through that same hole. So as I crisscross through that same hole of the RounDuo, you can see how the mini RounDuo will kind of sit and has that nice kind of arching effect. The mini RounDuos then on the sides will go ahead and just hang out there until I get ready to come back down the sides and kind of put the seed beads in between. You may notice as you're kind of pulling and designing that the rounded drop duos kind of want to sit up. As we go and come back down the project, we are going to go ahead and kind of lay them down, creating that opening in the middle. From here, on the right-hand side, the needle is coming out on the bottom hole of the mini RounDuo. And as I go through, I'm going to go through the top hole of the RounDuo mini, going from that right side to the left side. Give a nice little yank, and then picking up the left needle, do the opposite. Coming out the left side, I'm going to go through the top hole again towards the right side. So we repeat that same step every time at the top and bottom of the RounDuo mini. From here, we're going to do our connector, which our connector is going to be our IrisDuo. So we have our IrisDuo here that's going to work as the connector, and we're going to put on 2 11/0 seed beads on both the right and the left needle, put on the IrisDuo, and then 2 seed beads again. So I'm going to add 2 seed beads on the left and the right. Then we're going to pick up our IrisDuo. And the IrisDuo that I'm using is that White Lila Vega Luster. You want to make sure that it is facing up. It is flat on one side and it is rounded on the other. The first one it's going to use is going to establish kind of what side is up. And then from here on, you want to make sure that you're always doing the same. So from here, I'm going to go through and put 2 seed beads after the IrisDuo, and that will be our connector. After I have the 2 seed beads after the IrisDuo, it is time to start my next flower. For the next flower, I am going to use the Amos beads. So I'm switching from the drop duo to the Amos. And for those, just separating my needles a little bit, I'm going to go in and get ready to use some of the more gold tones of the RounDuos. So as I use the gold tones of the mini RounDuos, I'm going to go ahead and take the first one, go through one hole from the right to the left, and the other from left to right. Crisscrossing through and pulling that down towards the project. From there, I'm going to crisscross through the second hole as well. So I'm going from the right side here, crisscrossing through, and then going with the left side and crisscrossing through that one as well. So you're always having 2 threads go through that mini, right and left. And now it's time to add our next of our little petals, which is going to be our Amos. You're going to add an Amos, RounDuo, and an Amos bead on both the right and the left needle. And then just to show it separated out, the last one, what I did was I added one of the RounDuos to one of the sides, but this time just to show you, you do the same on both sides. So I have my drop duos with a RounDuo mini in the middle. And then the last step is going to be that RounDuo mini, one needle going from right to left, the other from left to right. And crisscrossing through. And that gets us our next little flower drop. From here, we continue on, going from the bottom hole to the top hole of that RounDuo mini. And as we continue that, then you're going to add your IrisDuo and your 2 beads, and just going to continue building and making kind of that different bouquet look of all of those florals. I may even throw in a Vexolo for you so you can see the look and the design when you add different beads as well. As you finish the last little section, center section of your flowers, and you can see my little petals of my flowers, the Amos, the rounded drop duos, and I did pick up the Vexolos. They're kind of all sitting kind of off to the side. That's okay because they're going to sit correctly as we go through and grab into the second hole with the second hole of our mini RounDuo. When you have enough flowers for your design, and I have a smaller wrist but I ended up with 6 flowers total. You may need 7 on your design to 8. Kimrie has 8 and even 9 on a longer one as well, so depending on kind of your wrist size. If you are doing them all with the regular Amos beads, you should be able to get the whole bracelet done with 1 tube. You can also make it a little bit longer if you want to by starting out with an IrisDuo and then going into the design. I'm actually going to be ending with an IrisDuo before going in and making my loop. So the loop is going to be done with the seed beads, and to do the loop, I'm going to add 1 more of my RounDuo mini beads. So just like as if I would be adding another flower on, I'm going to add the RounDuo mini with the right needle, cross through that same hole with the left needle, give a nice tight pull, and then again cross through, going through the top hole with the right needle, and then crossing through that left hole with the left needle, which is going to bring the needles out to the right and the left. From here, I will make a loop for my clasp to sit inside. Whether or not you want to do a regular clasp, a peyote clasp, it's kind of up to you. But I'm going to go ahead and add on to my needle and thread, kind of move some seed beads in frame here. I'm going to add about 25 or so 11/0 seed beads onto the needle. If you're using a regular clasp, like a push clasp or a lobster clasp, one of the pretty clasp garden clasps, go ahead and use a wire guard. You can actually, instead of doing the RounDuo mini bead, you could have put the wire guard right on there and attached to the clasp. Once you have the appropriate number of seed beads onto your loop, if you're using the button style that I'm doing, you're going to take that thread and needle that's coming out on the right hand side, and you're going to go through the left hand side and coming out the right to make a loop. On the opposite end then, with the left hand needle, I'm going to reinforce this loop, because remember, we're going to come back down the seed beads, but I want to reinforce this side. We'll reinforce the cut button side as we come down that side and add our embellishments and connect to that second hole. So I'm going ahead here and I'm reinforcing this whole loop by going through and bringing all the seed beads doubled through and coming out through my mini RounDuo bead. At this point, I'm done with my ancient gold RounDuo minis. I'm done with all my drops. I can kind of, done with my IrisDuos, can kind of push them off to the side. And I'm going to concentrate on my seed beads right now. So I have my 11/0 seed beads. If you want, you could do the embellishments and the sides as well with 15/0s. That is up to you. Coming down the sides then of the RounDuo mini, what I'm going to do is take the thread and needle, and so I don't see a lot of extra thread. I'm just going to add 2 of my 11/0s and go through from one hole to the other hole. Then I'll just put those little seed beads right along the side. Same thing with the other needle. Again, anytime pretty much you're doing a 2 needle project, you are doing the exact same things from one side to the other. What I need to get my thread and needle now to in position wise is down, so I'm coming out that top hole of that RounDuo mini. So I'm going to take the needle and thread down and reinforce basically those sides, reinforcing the seed beads all the way down through the IrisDuo, crisscross through the top hole of the mini duo, and that's where you're going to start. So you want to make sure that you have your needle and thread, both of them down, coming out that top hole of the first RounDuo mini. So from here, it's a really, really easy step of adding an 11/0 seed bead, sewing through the second hole of whatever drop bead you're using. In this case, it's the Vexolo, adding an 11/0, sewing through the drop duo mini along the side. And as I sew through that drop duo mini along the side, I'm then going to pick up another 11/0 and go through the second hole of that Vexolo. So you can see the 11/0s are just kind of decorating there. 11/0 goes on, and I'm going to link on to the second hole, so the hole closest to kind of the outside of that drop duo mini. That's along the bottom. There I have it decorated. Coming along the side here then, I'm going to flip hands, so that way I like to sew with my right hand, so I'm kind of flipping the project which direction it's sitting, so that way I can switch from using that as a left needle to just using it as a right. Adding a 15/0, sewing down basically all the empty second holes. And then once I come out through that last one, I'm adding 111 and sewing through the second hole of the RounDuo mini. Give a nice little, tight little pass there. You can see that pretty little flower that is created. Then coming down through, we're going to go straight down the sides. If you want to, you could decorate the IrisDuos more and kind of go along the outer edge of them if you wanted with the 11-0 seed beads. I'm going to just follow Kimrie's design, side straight through, and then take it through that next RounDuo mini, so that way it's coming out the other side. Left side mimics the right, going through and adding a second pass of needle and thread through my 2 seed beads, my IrisDuo, my 2 seed beads, crisscrossing through my RounDuo mini, through that top hole. Then again, it's that easy step of adding in the 11-0 seed beads. And this is when you're going to really see those flowers kind of start to form, because the petals will stay down as you add a bead and connect into those second holes. It'll also open up the middle a lot more, which you can keep if you want to as an opening, or you can embellish the middle. So Kimrie has 2 designs. She did actually a pendant the same kind of way, that she kept the middle open. You can see on the outer edge here, she added a little bit more design around the outside edge versus the one here where she kept it nice and simple, but then added a Monty in the middle. So I'm going to continue on getting those petals to kind of lay down and cooperate as I go through and add in my 11-0 seed beads to hold those little flowers in place. As you finish up the design, you're going to be coming out of your last RounDuo bead, and with the needle that's on the right hand side coming out of that RounDuo mini, I'm going to go up through those 3 11-0 seed beads that sit right along that cut button, kind of wiggle them through there and come out the cut button. If you can catch along those seed beads at the top of the button, great. If you can't, it's not a huge deal. But when you come out of that cut button, definitely want to see if you can get that first seed bead, because it's hard to go back in and kind of catch on to it. If you can get it, great. Otherwise, you can come down the side. The thread will be kind of hiding below. You can take the other thread and needle as well and do the same thing to reinforce it one more time if you would like. You can see that I came down the back of that cut button, going through the 11-0s. And now as I come out the last 11-0, my thread ends are actually next to one another. If I would want to go back and embellish and add any crystals or any more seed beads, along the outer edge you can see that Kimrie added some extra seed beads, kind of going along the side here through that, backtracking through that second hole and adding some extra seed beads in there. If you want to do the Monty, you're going to go back through, coming out the center of the RounDuo minis on either side, kind of crisscrossing through and adding the Monty in there. Because I use the different colored and the different shapes of the 2-hole kind of drop beads to make that nice pocket full of posies, I'm actually going to keep it empty and not put anything in the middle, because I like seeing the variation. So I want the flowers to kind of stand out a little bit more than the crystals. So all I'm going to do to finish off the bracelet is I'm going to take my needles here, the right over left, left over right, and just tie them off 1, twice, and then you're going to grab your thread burner or your thread zap or your pair of scissors if you're a person like that. And generally speaking, what I'll do is if I have enough thread on the thread and needle, after I tie my knots, I'll take the needle and thread and actually sew it back through, so that way with my 2 thread ends, they're not ending in the same place. So I have one ending on one side, one ending on the other. It makes the knot smaller and it doesn't make it as congested. You'll then take your thread zap or your thread burner, burn down the thread edges, and then burn them down flush against the project. Once you have that done, your pocket full of posies bracelet is completed. And I really like this design by Kimrie because there's so many options. Like I said, you could do it as a pair of earrings. You can do it actually, here's kind of the most simplistic design that follows. And she actually did this as a little pendant, having 3 stacked on top of one another. And you can see instead of doing 2 beads as spacers in between the actual IrisDuo, she actually did one bead between the IrisDuo, changed the look a little bit, and in here in this design she actually has the demi-round spacers in the 8-0, I believe, or the 11-0 as this bead in between. So there's so many different variations that you can play with these mini round duos. They really do fit kind of that tiny little space, which is awesome, and really add to that design. So whether or not you want to use Vexolo beads or drop duo, rounded drop duos, or Amos beads, you're going to keep adding to the beautiful design that it creates. As always, if you like this video, you can help by giving us a thumbs up and letting us know exactly what you want to see. That helps, so that way we can do the videos to kind of cater to you in order to show you exactly what you want to learn. You can also comment below, tell us the design that you like the best, what you used, and show pictures too of what you've made in our beading group for beading and jewelry making. Check out our Facebook group for there. It's a wonderful interactive way that you can kind of show off what you make, get questions, get inspired, get design ideas, and be part of an amazing community. If you need any of the materials for this, remember they're kind of listed out in the beginning. Also, we'll put links under the video in the description to drop down to use them all. I end up using the Amos in that opaque light green kind of ceramic look. I use the IrisDuo in the white Lila Vega luster. I use the drop duo, and it's a rounded drop duo, just so you know, in that white Lila luster. And then the RounDuo minis, I went ahead and used the Ancient Gold mix. The Ancient Gold mix, when you look at it, has all these lovely, beautiful color mixes, and that's how I was able to get that mixture for the different flowers. As always, have fun creating, have fun making, and again, if you want to, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel. That way you'll get regular updates when we do different designs and different ideas, as well as introduce some new products to you. Thanks so much for watching, and have fun making Kimrie's Pocket Full of Posy design.